to infinity and beyond.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to Infinity and Beyond, your weekly Disney video game podcast with myself, Roger, and James there in sleepy Washington. It's a little bit dark here. You can tell it's starting to get winter now. So on this week's show, we're going to be discussing Spider-Man on the PS4 Pro, and we'll also be talking about some of the new apps, including Disney Enchanted Tales, and also we've also got the Moana Island Life, and a few other bits as well as Kingdom Hearts news. So James, how's this week been for you?
It's been busy with Enchanted Tales, like you were talking about, getting Disney Magic Kingdom updated, and then unrelated to Disney, Overwatch was free this weekend, and all the old Disney Infinity players were playing that, so I jumped onto that.
Yeah, I finished off Castle of Illusion like the beginning of the week, so that's all done. So the next few weeks, you'll see some videos on that. Just finished Marvel Alliance 2 last night, so that was cool. So I finished the main story again. That'll be spread out over the next couple of weeks. And then I've also been playing Overwatch, because that's all like... It was one of those weird things. I think because the whole of the community a lot of the Toy Box artists shifted to that game. I was a bit like, well, I was kind of interested to see what was going on. It was a free weekend, so you could play it. I actually even recorded a video yesterday, which I'm going to put up later, because it was literally along the lines of, like, this is where the Toy Box artists are. So since we did it's kind of one of those things with Overwatch. Literally, nearly all the Toy Box artists have got into playing it. They've even launched Inside Watch over on the Res Network, which is a podcast which they're talking about. You've got like CC Runner, Papa Echo, Sonic Photo, and King of Tuners. They're all doing that one there. So it's kind of interesting. So what did you think of that game quickly before we kind of get really into the Disney stuff?
Well, I had two different experiences with it. The first time I played it on, I guess it was Friday afternoon, I was playing with nothing but random people that just automatically matched up, and that wasn't fun. I didn't actually enjoy that. It was just random chaos, and I mean, I was a new player, so I didn't know what was going on. I picked random characters. Mighty Jitus pointed me in the direction of Mercy, and I actually was okay with her. And then, actually just a couple hours ago, before we record this, I got to play with some of those guys who were on the podcast, Sonic Photo and Bad Gamer and guys like that. And that was a lot more fun. But for me, I was having fun because of who I was playing with rather than what I was playing. Yeah. So it's a fun enough game, and I can see why it's popular. But for me, I'd rather hang out with the people, and the game itself is kind of incidental.
Yeah, I jumped on for about an hour or so before I went to bed, there was, I think, it was literally like, and then of course, of different time zones, I was sleeping when everyone was like on chat, like going, "You coming in?" It's like, no, I'm actually already asleep. But yeah, I kind of was. I mean, I just played the single. You know, it was a thing of playing the shooting. You know, the interest of all the characters looked quite cool. But for me, again, it was just another first-person shooting game. I mean, the style looked good. I liked all the different characters. They definitely felt different. I like playing the short circuit character.
Short side. I don't know the names.
No, I don't know. It wasn't the name. It was like some kind of like droid that you go around and you can turn into a robot that shoots a tank. I did seem to do quite well with him. It just kind of reminded me of the character of Johnny 5.
Johnny 5, yes.
There's an own reference for everyone. But yeah, so I thought it was alright. But again, it's first-person shooters. For me, I've always liked first-person shooters, but I tend to like playing like the story campaign mode. I'm very much kind of like, you know, Ghost Recon, even Call of Duty is always like, I only ever really played the story mode, Doom, etc. Quake, really going back some. But the online stuff, you know, when you're getting dropped out of matches, and I just find it very frustrating. So it didn't feel to me any different than playing Battlefront or any of the other games. It was, for me, it wasn't kind of maybe the game I like. I'd love to have a single. If that had a story mode, that would have been awesome with all those different characters, because I didn't know who any of them were.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same way. I'm not a competitive gamer. I don't really gravitate towards PvP, but I do like playing single-player FPSs. I'm really looking forward to the BioShock remasters coming out, I think this week even.
Yeah.
And, yeah, if Overwatch had a single-player campaign, not like you versus bots, but an actual story mode campaign, looking at you here, Battlefront, I could definitely see picking it up and playing it because that's my speed.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely kind of the way I'm looking at it. It's kind of odd. It's like this is the sort of slight discussion really of how Disney Infinity fans and how Disney Infinity players are gravitating towards different games. Some people have gone to Overwatch. Some people have gone to Lego Dimensions. I'm kind of played around with both, but I'm actually, I'm hitting my back catalogue. I'm hitting some of the ones I missed, some of the things and that's for me. You can sort of see how the community is all going in different directions and stuff. But no, it's especially like Lego Dimensions is having a big couple of things in a couple of weeks' time. We'll have all the new figures and stuff come out. I haven't pre-ordered any of the new ones because I'm away when they come out. So it was like, well, there's no point pre-ordering because I'm not going to get. They'll be arriving while I'm away, so it's pointless.
Yeah, I think over here Target had either a pricing error or some of the new sets got added to a sale that was going on. So I pre-ordered the Harry Potter sets. Yeah. I think it was. Yeah, because they were like 40% off or 30% off. I was like, that's about what you're going to expect after a couple months. So if I can get them on opening day for that price, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. Especially since Harry Potter's the only one of the Wave 2 that I care about until the Titans come out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to probably pick up the Mission Impossible level set. I'm going to pick up Mr. T because I like the idea of having the event. He that's pretty cool. Ghostbusters. I mean, I'm noticing like the story packs have been a lot cheaper. They're like about £30. They're only a couple of pound more than the level packs, which kind of is a very big value difference to me between the two of how much content you get. But I'm going to be honest. I think the Lego Harry Potter collection has actually just stole its thunder for me. I can see why they've maybe not done too much Harry Potter stuff now that they're re-releasing 2 of those classic games on the PS4, which instantly then brought my mind to the thing of, are we going to see the same thing with Indiana Jones? Are we going to see the same thing with Star Wars? It definitely feels like all these big companies are trying to get we've been talking about it for weeks, getting their content onto the new piece or this new network, the way they're doing it. That was my instant thought when I saw the Harry Potter collection was, okay, Star Wars and Indiana Jones, yes please.
And also maybe Pirates of the Caribbean, since there'll be a new movie of that coming out soon. But I think, we're seeing this exodus, not really the right word, but this push by publishers and developers to get them remasters done now that the Xbox One has backwards compatibility. Yeah. And I think the publishers are starting to realize, hey, there's still a market for this, so they're finding everything they can throw at it. And Harry Potter's a good choice, obviously, with the movie coming out.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. The thing is, what got me was this Harry Potter one was the fact that it was you have to pay for it. Obviously, there's this big thing, obviously, with Xbox with backwards compatibility, because in all honesty, a lot of the stuff I've been playing on the Xbox One has been backwards compatible. I did pick up Pirates of the Caribbean and Lego Star Wars for the Xbox One. I haven't tried Lego Star Wars. I was holding that one off. That one's probably going to be a winter game. But things like Castle of Illusion, DuckTales, I've been having a blast playing through those games, and they are new to me when they come out, so that's been cool. But there is this kind of thing of people going like remasters going, well, if you just make the Xbox 360 versions available, we don't need to buy them again. So there's this kind of odd line between what people want for these kind of remastered stuff.
Well, and that's exactly what the publishers don't want. It's like if you already own the 360 one, then making it backwards compatible doesn't give them any money. But giving them a remaster, you can get another 20, 30, 40, or if you're Activision, 60 out of them. Yeah. So
it's kind of, in one way, it's that thing like Marvel. It's that thing of like Marvel Alliance is a perfect example of 2 games that got ported over. Now, had they just become available on backwards compatible and not on the PlayStation 4 network, I would have probably just brought the digital versions anyway. So therefore, they would have made the money. So for me, on that mode, they wouldn't have. But if I go out and buy the second-hand copy from the video game store or from eBay, they don't make any money off of that. I'm buying it, I'm spending money on it, but they're not making. I did that. I think with Lego's Pirates of the Caribbean, I brought the physical disc second-hand. They don't make any money out of that. But DuckTales and Castle of Illusion, I brought them digitally.
Yeah, of course, and this has been the fight between retailers and publishers for decades, really, is how do they incentivize buying the new version rather than going to your GameStop or Game and picking up the used copy. And yeah, I remember when the Xbox One was first announced, they're like, all games are digital. You can get the physical, but it's just an unlock key, and everyone flipped out over that. And
It's definitely going to be interesting to see. I mean, we're going to be recording an episode for a few weeks' time. I'm going to be talking about the future of Disney games. I think some of this is going to be kind of tied into that one there, so we'll do that one there. But I think it's time to jump into some of this week's news. So I think the main news of the week, really, from what's out this week, was a new game called Enchanted Tales, featuring Frozen. It was Beauty and the Beast, Tangled, and Frozen. Right. And on iOS and Android, kind of like a Disney Magic Kingdom things. So did you get to play it? What did you think of it?
I did get to play it. I picked Tangled as my first unlock, and then I actually started the unlock for the second story, which was Frozen. And you get to pick which order you do the stories in, which is cool. But it's very much a light version of Disney Magic Kingdoms. Now, what I thought was interesting is this one's actually published and created by Disney, by the look of it.
Yeah, it's a Disney in one. You know, the information that came out to me was from Disney. There's no external companies involved in this one, which to me doesn't really surprise me, because I know they are still planning on creating their own content. They're not all MOO stuff's being licensed out as well. For me, first reactions were it felt very, very similar to Disney Magic Kingdoms in the way that you play it. The graphic style, I'm not too keen on it. It's kind of, they look completely different from the animated version. They've kind of got their own animated style, but I'm not so keen. To me, it's like all the story mode and stuff. I don't know. I wasn't blown away with it, but then I wasn't blown away with Magic Kingdoms when I started that either. So I might need a few more dabbles on it first before I kind of really. But first reactions were it's pretty simple. It's not really. I'd say it's not really the kind of game I'd want to have 3 or 4 of these on the go at once.
No, I agree, and I think obviously you and I are not the target audience. No. We're middle-aged males and stuff, and I believe that this, even though they don't state it, I'm pretty sure the target audience is young girls for this one. The art style is very similar to what DC Comics are doing with their young DC women's line, and I think that's kind of what companies are pushing as the current young girl art style or whatever, and this game follows that, and it's a very simplistic game. But for what it is, it's fine. If I had a daughter, I would have no problem giving this stuff for her to play with.
No, it's like I said, it's that's the target audience. You know, we're not the main ones to use it, but it's free to play, so I definitely would recommend you check it out. And if you have checked it out this week, let us know in the comments below what you guys think. Always like to hear your feedback as well. Okay, so we're going to go on to another quick bit one, sort of a new Disney game, Moana, or Mona, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it.
Moana, I think.
Yeah, is Island Life is out on soft launch in Canada. So what that usually means is Disney usually launch these games in other territories for a few weeks or a month or so early to sort of iron out the kinks with the online play, get some feedback, and kind of they're doing this more and more. Unfortunately, for some reason I couldn't log in to do it. I was trying to set up an account. I mean, I've got an Australian and New Zealand and American English accounts, but I couldn't get my Canada one set up for some reason, bizarrely, to download it. But this one again, I'll just read out a little bit of information on there while we're on this one, because didn't really get to play it yet. Was the ocean calls you, Montu, create your magical paradise inspired by Disney's newest film, Moana. Join her and Maui and customize your island. Complete quests to earn and reward and discover the islands of Oceania. Your island adventure awaits. Build your village with the help of Moana, Maui, Paui, Kiki, and more. Set sail and journey across it to discover new islands and people. Grow and harvest crops, craft tools and objects, and trade with islanders and friends. Muscle up and take on the Maui challenges. Complete special time quests to win rare rewards, and collect pets and fill your wildlife sanctuary with baby turtles, dolphins, and more. So that there looks kind of pretty generic, I'm going to be honest.
It kind of sounds a lot like the Finding Dory game that came out around the same time as that.
Well, I don't think it's definitely not like just keep swimming. It's
well, no, not that one.
The reef one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
It's I don't know. I can't quite. it was a bit just like, yeah, all right, I'll try it when it comes out. It doesn't really blow me away with the style because again, it's just more collect this, build that, which is kind of, this is the trouble with some of these mobile games. They're doing them cheap and they're just crossing them over, but it just feels like this is just a skin over an existing model of something that they've done. And obviously, we haven't played it yet, but I wouldn't say it really excites me on this one.
No, and I mean, I expect that they're not really expecting this to get a whole lot of buzz. They're hoping that maybe there'll be some buzz around the movie, and a little kid will play the game, and then they'll go and bug mommy and daddy for like $6 so they can get whatever the premium currency is, so they can unlock XYZ character, and then they get their money, and then they're done. So
see, I'm kind of expecting with this game that we're going to see some crossover with the game into the other platforms. So you'll see them added to Disney Jigsaw, you'll see them added to Crossy Roads, you'll see them added to maybe the storybooks. It wouldn't even surprise me if there's another game that comes out around the same time. Maybe they do a premium version like they did with Just Keep Swimming, because it's a Disney creative game, movie. I don't know, because they've done it with Zootopia, they've done it with any other ones. Whether or not this is the only one they do, I don't know, but I suppose it depends on how popular the movie is, and they don't tend to want to invest. I think all that happened with this one was I remember putting up the story and putting up all the links, and all I got was a load of Infinity fans going, "Where's our play set?" I was like, well, we can't hold it against everything. It's not this game's fault that it exists.
no, I mean this game was going to exist anyway. So
yeah, it was just like, yeah. I mean, I'm still like this. Please just port it to a separate game and release it. I'm still holding out on that thought of them trying to use some concept of it, but that's my still hope. But I think I might be way off on being able to think they could do that.
I mean, I don't know how adaptable the Disney Infinity Code is. If that would have actually been something that would have been nice for them to do way back at 1.0 is, you get these community created toy boxes. You get like the best of the best, and you go, hey, you don't even need Disney Infinity to play these. No. We've appized them, or whatever you want to call them, and here you go. You can just download them a la carte. But obviously that never happened. So.
The only thing that got me is if there was only 2 characters for this play set, or if they did it, all you would need is a flip character option or a menu, and you can relieve that entire toy factor. You think of like how Finding Dory was literally, if you had a press a target button or press start, or even Marvel Alliance, you just press start at any time and you go in and change your team. It's not like it's a major issue that you could do that. So but that's still me. Depends. The way I looked at it was, if another company like was it like one of the companies that was making them, like Sumo Digital or whoever, or if they'd licensed it out, at that point they could go, well, we've already kind of sub-licensed it out, do a quick agreement, and therefore, they are then just a licensed product with something they've already created. So it's not. I think if it was, depends whether it was made by Avalanche or by one of the other teams. That was the way I was thinking on that one, but that's just me sort of fantasizing. Right, quick bit of like businessy news was the strategic. Chris Heavily has jumped from Disney Games over to NBC Marvel. He apparently was the guy behind a whole host of different products. He was recently served as the Senior Vice President and General Manager for Disney Games and Apps since 2014. While at Disney, he led the strategic management and operations for the App Store with his licensed games, including Star Wars Commander, Inside Out Fort Bubbles, and Disney Emoji Blitz. He also helped with the launch of Star Wars Battlefront and all the licensing thing. There was no real mention of Disney Infinity, which I'm not surprised they wouldn't have mentioned that if he did have anything to do with that, because you don't really, if you're trying to sell the guy, you don't really want to put in one of the flops that they've had, because that's what it's considered now, unfortunately.
If not a flop, then at least a failed trial or something like that, even though it got through 3 iterations.
So my first thought was, it's not too good for Disney, because taking someone that has obviously been, he's been behind some big hits, some big things. I thought Fort Bubbles was a great game. I enjoyed Star Wars Commander when it came out. I haven't played it recently, too many of them around there. But this whole thing with licensing stuff now, this kind of slides into this thought of what we've been saying for weeks now. The whole thing of what happened with Disney Infinity. We are now starting to see the ripple effects of those moves. While Disney Infinity maybe got the biggest kind of punch, you know, the thing with Avengers Alliance 2 weeks ago, and now we've had this guy leaving. Maybe he doesn't, you know, maybe there isn't the products there that he needs to do. Maybe it's just licensing out and he's got not a lot. You know, there could be a number of different reasons, but I thought, obviously, NBC bringing him in, you know, they're bringing in some big heavy hitter there because they want to have some big licensed products as well. But I couldn't help but think, this is really kind of more signals that, you know, something's not right over at Disney Games.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, you mentioned Avengers Alliance and 1 and 2 closing down. You know, for the past couple of years, especially with the Marvel brand, but also the Star Wars brand, they've really had just an explosion of apps.
Yeah.
And as a result, not all of them are getting the support they need. And I think they're really just kind of cleaning house and, you know, trying to get rid of the ones that didn't work and, you know, close them down and put the resources into stuff that they can actually make money on.
Yeah. But, I mean, this is the thing, I think, with these apps. I think it's this game. It's one of those issues with apps is I think they are viewed as they are disposable products. You know, you might love the game, and I think, you know, when we buy a game, we play it and we keep it and we keep playing it if we enjoy it. But these apps, they're not like that. They are just, you know, disposable kind of products that you play for a bit and then they delete them. But yeah, I did think when I read this, I was like, oh, this is just again more just realization that the Disney Games department is changing. It's going through a lot of, and we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, and why people are leaving and what's going on. This could be completely personal. It might not have anything to do with it. You might have just been offered a really good job somewhere else and he's jumped. And, you know, fair play to him.
Yeah, and best of luck at his new position, regardless of the reasons behind it. Yeah. So
I mean, this was the thing. Sometimes it's very hard. I think it's just that, you know, when you look at all of it together, it doesn't look quite so good when you're looking at bits and pieces. Okay, so Spider-Man and the PS4. So during the PlayStation meeting, they showed off, we'll say probably 20 seconds of Spider-Man 4. They had this guy with probably the most boring way of presenting possible, talking about how you can now see characters or pedestrians in the street from further away, and his suit looks really good. It was a bit
and it does.
It was just like, and it was like, okay, so you're giving us a presentation in 4K, which none of us can see because you're not broadcasting it in 4K, and none of us really have 4K technology. Do you have a 4K TV? That's the first question.
No, I don't have a 4K TV. I've had my 1080p TV for a number of years, and I'm going to keep holding on to it because 4K TVs are just too expensive right now.
Well, I mean, I did have. I'm going to be honest. When Sony announced the new PlayStation Pro, or as it was, they should have kept Neo. I don't like it when it's like
cool name.
It's like Neo was a cool name, but also you not got to know what it is. It's like I'm really hoping Nintendo NX keep the NX brand code in it, because it's like you've built this brand association before it's even got released, and then you change the name at the last minute. Yeah, but I mean, this whole thing about the PlayStation meeting was, in general, a very negative reaction to it. There was no pizzazz. I know it was supposed to be a meeting and not a press conference, and it didn't have all the pizzazz and the presentation style. But watching some of the videos that have come out afterwards about people's reaction to it, I mean, watching Kind of Funny and some other one, no, it was very much along the day. It was an anticlimax. They didn't like the presentation of it. They didn't like what they presented. And generally, in all honesty, I don't think the Neo was what people really were thinking it was going to. They thought it was going to be a much more bigger step forward, and I don't think it was.
No, and then also there was that unfortunate announcement immediately after where they're saying, well, yes, it's still got a Blu-ray player and it's got 4K capability, but the Blu-ray player doesn't have 4K capability. So you're missing one of the giant selling points of it, which is those brand new 4K Blu-rays, which are starting to pop up in stores. So
yeah, I can't help but think even they put out a press conference, the press release afterwards, basically saying you ain't buying them, so we don't need to put it in there because you're all streaming everything. And I can't help but feel, I don't think people are gonna. I just don't think there'll be another physical media after Blu-ray. As much as they're trying this 4K Blu-ray, I just don't think it's going to work, because I don't think people are buying content the same. I mean, I just brought Civil War yesterday, but yeah, I just don't know. I only buy 5-10 DVD Blu-rays a year. I don't buy them the same way I used to. But yeah, I can't help. But they must be seeing a trend in them dropping off. To have not done it.
I can't imagine that we're going to see much in the way of physical media. I mean, they're never really truly going to go away because we still have CDs. You know, there's still physical music, even though iTunes has been out since what, 2002 or something now. But yeah, whether we'll see a successor to Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray,
yeah,
what's the point? It's so easy to get any movie that you want legally or illegally at any time that you want nowadays. So what's the point of going out and buying them?
I must admit, it feels like at this precise minute. I mean, I've been squirreling away a little bit of pocket money every week because I know there's some technology coming out over this winter. You have the PlayStation VR, you have PlayStation Neo, and you have the Nintendo NX. So I knew full well that there's a lot of technology coming out over this winter. You know, an NX might not be till March, so I had a little bit of a window to start saving after doing eBay. And, you know, I was kind of interested in the Neo, in what it, you know, if it was going to offer me. And literally after it got announced, I was a little bit like, I can't see any benefit for me. I mean, the games might look a little bit nicer, but nothing enough to make it warrant spending another £400 on it. I don't have a 4K TV. I did have a look on. I was in the store the other week looking at them, and I was looking at how, you know, the demos that were on it, going, that looks beautiful. I said to myself, so should we get? It's like, you know, it's about £400 for a new HD TV with 4K. I thought it looks great, but there's no content for it, and there's the problems. Like, I don't know. It feels like this is a very early jump of them. They want to get in the 4K market and they want to push 4K market, but the consoles really aren't quite ready for. And I just feel they didn't want to be stuck behind the Xbox too much. I think that's the big thing that they've done. They've just jumped a little bit earlier.
And I think this isn't even necessarily a video game thing. This is just, you know, television manufacturers, Hollywood. They realized that 3D televisions aren't selling. So they immediately needed, we need something else to get people to give up their quote-unquote old 1080p, 720p TVs. So what's the next step? 4Ks. And yeah, the demand's just not there yet, and they don't have the ability to create the demand yet.
No. I mean, I still feel like HD still hasn't fully grasped people. You know, I speak to my parents, you know, we'll be sitting there and they'll put the TV on. It's like, well, are you going to put it on the HD channel? They're like, HD channel? What's that? And, you know, I mean, even for me, you know, I don't have the Netflix HD package because my broadband speed isn't enough to do the downloading. So we watch everything in SD. You know, so I don't pay for Sky HD because I'm not paying £10 a month to have it in a better picture. It just, for me, doesn't even feel like HD's fully, you know, I watch like BBC in it, but that's because it's free. The rest of it, I don't know if people can really see the difference for a lot of people. I know my dad and my in-laws and stuff, they can't even see the difference between SD and HD, so let alone 4K.
I mean, it really depends on context too, because sometimes there's some movies, some shows that you don't need to see in HD.
No.
Sports, on the other hand, you know, if you're watching, say, Premiership or whatever over there, the quality difference in being able to see the ball, being able to see the players is amazing in HD.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you're just watching an episode of Law and Order or EastEnders or something like that, you don't need HD for that.
No, and I still feel, and I definitely feel like this was a little bit of a lot of people just going, there's not enough of a jump. I can't help but wonder, you know, we've been talking about this, and Xbox have been doing the same. Are we just going to see new versions of the PlayStation and Xbox every year, like they do with Apple? You know,
and I hope not.
I just think that's the way they're going to go. They're just going to keep making them more powerful every year, and every winter there'll just be a new model, and that's the way that's how it feels. They've been saying they want to go the mobile phone market, and I don't know. It depends how they're going to do the naming things. That's how I think it's going to go, and you know, they're going to have different settings for different ones that will just pick it up automatically. And that's it. I think that's how we're going to start seeing. We're not going to. When they've been talking, then they're going to have that same jump in terms of console generations. Because the only reason the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 lasted as long as it did was because the market crashed halfway through the cycle.
Yeah. If you want to see what the naming is going to look like, I think we just need to go back and take a look at Street Fighter 2 from the from the 90s. What did they end on? Like Hyper World Dimension Edition or something like that? I don't know. There were bajillion different editions of that.
I'm just trying to think. I remember having the Mega Drive version, the Genesis one, and it was like it wasn't Super Street Fighter 2 was on the PlayStation on the Super Nintendo. It was like the Championship Edition or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was. It does. You do wonder how they're gonna kind of keep doing it. They also did the announcement for the new Apple 7. Mario, I think, is going to be the big hit for that one. But yeah, in general, in terms of that will help with it's that kind of thing. They announced it. I was reading things. There wasn't really anything of a big surprise, but obviously that does impact on Disney and Marvel and Star Wars games because those devices, the more powerful they are, the better the apps will get. But I do feel a lot of these apps are based on the bottom market of the mobile rather than the top end.
Yeah, and I mean, it's good for Nintendo to get their brand out there onto other platforms, and it's good for iPhone to have, it looks like, the exclusive rights to some of those Nintendo things for the moment, because there wasn't any word on Android, although obviously there would not be at an Apple event. But, it's also hard to get worked up over a Temple Run game, even if it does star on Mario.
You know what I thought was great was the fact of Apple and Sony had these two great big presser conferences. They're going to push the product. And Nintendo basically stole it. They basically stole the whole night for both companies with Mario and mobile. I literally was just like, they completely stole it. They stole the show over they completely outshined everybody with just that. I thought it was amazing. Oh, yeah. They weren't even making an announcement, and they stole the entire because no one was expecting it.
Yeah, and Apple has to be thrilled because it gets people talking about something other than the lack of a headphone jack, which is, of course, the big news there, which we won't talk about because that's not our business. But
yeah.
And then
you
the
buy
Sony,
a nice £170 pair of headphones, right? So, Battlefront Death Star pack that will be coming soon. They just keep saying coming soon, then keep saying it's coming in September. I can't help but feel like if for a season pass holders, we normally get it 2 weeks before everybody else. I'm really hoping it comes in the next week or two because I don't want it to be in the end of the month, but it should be coming soon. That's going to boost obviously Star Wars Battlefront. I think there was a free trial coming up this weekend to try the B-Spin expansion pack if you haven't got it. But yeah, that one's coming pretty soon. Pirates have been teased for Disney Magic Kingdoms. They put out like this picture the other day of them like with a thing over them, an eye patch, and they've then since released a little bit of like concept art. When there's a lot of discussion going on between whether or not it's Pirates of the Caribbean or like Peter Pan, because there's it's not quite as cut and dry. I think a lot of people automatically assumed one thing, but they're sort of teasing it could be either.
Man, if they did Peter Pan, that would be a nice stick in the eye of the Disney Infinity team. But I hadn't actually thought about that, about it possibly being Peter Pan. They did do the eye patch, though.
Yeah.
But neither of those movies... Well, one of the secondary characters had an eye patch in
I think it's
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirate, isn't it? It's just
it's just a pirate thing.
Yeah.
See, for them, I could see maybe doing Peter Pan, add the characters, add Captain Hook and Wendy and Peter Pan as like a story edition. But the Pirates of the Caribbean, like with the number of characters they have, I could totally see that being like an incredible style event.
Yeah. But also, I'm going to be honest, if I was doing Pirates of the Caribbean, I'd hold off till next year.
Yeah, wait until the new movie comes out.
Yeah, so that's so we'll be hopefully seeing that pretty soon. Just a quick thing on Kingdom Hearts. There's some new merchandise, big posters come out this week. You can pre-order for coming out next month for 2.8. Really, this is probably the best news for me for the week was Square Enix announced that they're going to be at EGX, which is the big video game conference here in the UK, which is taking place next week. I'm going, and Kingdom Hearts 2.8 is going to be there. So literally, when I get my entrance in, I'm going to be able to get in an hour beforehand. I will pretty much be heading straight to the Square Enix booth. That's my plan for the morning. Heading straight there. First thing I'm going to be hitting up is Kingdom Hearts because that's the main reason I'm going. That's the reason I'm going all the way up there is to do something Disney. That's the main one that's been announced. That's the one I have to do. I have got a VR demo booth, so I'll be getting up at like 5 in the morning, getting in the car and driving 2 hours to conference center. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts will be at the event, so I'm going to be playing the demo. That's my plan. So yeah, that was for me probably the big. I've been waiting for something to be announced at the event that was Disney related, because that was why I was going to the event. I was just like, I'm there as press, and I can play Sonic and WWE, and it'll be my first like proper video game conference as well. So I'm kind of really excited about I'm going to something like that. You know, I'm hoping Lego Dimensions might be there or something like that. But yeah, so there was good news for me. I know they're at some of the other events. They're pushing off other things like Hitman and Final Fantasy.
Right.
But yeah, that was kind of like, whew.
Yeah. I mean, I've never actually been to a proper video game convention. I've been to a bunch of nerd conventions, comics, and D23 last year, but I've never been to one like E3 or EGX or something like that. So that should be a lot of fun for you. I hope that there's a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, so I'm really, really looking forward to that event. So this would be a nice, like what I call it. I've been telling to people that it's my geeky boy day out. I'm having a day out on my own, just running around. It's a bit like when I'm at Celebration. It's just like, yeah, just being able to be geek running around, just looking at stuff and just being like, yeah, cool. Right, let's have a look here. And there was one other bit of news, which kind of was Disney Infinity related. Was a bit of a kind of, I was a little bit imming and ahhing whether or not to mention it, but the Save Disney Infinity petition kind of had a little bit of a blip over the weekend, where the guy that was making it basically updated it, asking kind of people to give him some money to buy a Lego Disney Castle set, which then spiraled into kind of a bit of a messy weekend of people then calling him out on it, saying it was wrong to do so. They then the petition then got sort of shut down because it got I think probably rightfully so. People then put in a complaint to the people doing it, saying this is not what it's for. It then got turned off. I think it then reopened because he removed it, and I know he was saying he was sorry. He is, in all fairness, he is a minor, and so for that reason alone, there is this kind of thing of it, while if it was a full-blown adult, it's maybe a bit different, but he is a minor, so therefore I do think it was maybe just a mistake from a child that kind of thought he had, I want this thing, I'll ask all these people, and I am going to be honest, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt of just basically saying it was a child that made a mistake, a teenager that made a mistake, and I think he definitely learned his lesson, but that's kind of, I think that's probably about as much as I really want to kind of. I still think that I'm going to give someone a little bit of benefit of doubt on that one.
Yeah, I don't think that there was any malicious intent or anything. He just wasn't thinking about it. He didn't see how it would be perceived. But the unfortunate side effect of this is, I think this is the final little bit of the Bring Back Infinity petition movement. And we always knew that it was never going to happen, but this is now kind of like, yeah, you can create the new petition, but it's never going to get the traction that you need.
No, I mean, it's like you say, I think as far as the whole campaign goes, Disney have gone. Disney have dropped it now. It's dead in the water. It's, there are rumblings of kind of, when the game shuts down, whether or not, other things can like they've done with like Toontown, whether or not things can happen with servers and stuff for PCs and bits and pieces, but it's still very, very early days on everything like that. And until the game completely shuts down, none of that can really happen. It's kind of one of them weird things of while everything's still up and running, there's no need to do anything like that. But whether or not that happens is one thing else. But generally, yeah, the game is, they're not going to come back. They're not going to release any new. The toy sections are already being cleared out. They've already been put all full on clearance. That the areas have been cleared. It's done, and it's a shame. We kind of started the whole story, the whole podcast, really starting off with the people moving on to other stuff. This is the last few people kind of just like coming to terms with it. It's hard. I was thinking of it. It's like nearly 4 months since it got cancelled, and it's kind of like we say, it's pretty much it's done now.
It's done. It's over. It was fun while it lasted, and we'll all have the memories left over from it. Mm-hmm. But everyone's moved on. They're playing Overwatch and Dimensions and
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to be honest. I spent 4 hours this week playing through Kingdom Hearts 1 as well. I've been having a little bit of a week where I kind of had this thing of going, right, it's one of those weird things of going, right, every night I'm gonna sit down, do some video recording, and like, it might sound bad, but if I go, right, I'm gonna be recording video for like an hour or so, and I usually play it on for about an extra hour or so, it actually forces me to play, and kind of, because rather than just sitting around on the laptop and go, oh, I'll just pep a story, or I'll just look on Facebook, check out our Facebook groups and do something, or I'll just make an and so before long I've lost an hour. So it's like I was actually been like, no, get in. So I've had I would say the last week I've had like a really good week. I've probably clocked up, you know, what's that, 21 hours of game playing at least this week. So I've actually had a really fun week playing games, and which probably can tell by finishing Castle of Illusion and Marvel Alliance 2 and doing some Kingdom Hearts and doing some Overwatch. I actually feel like I've got something done this week. But man, that boss for Castle of Illusion, when you see the edited version coming up in a few weeks' time, you'll see this 12-minute video. What you won't have realized is I was playing that boss for 2 hours. I got to the point where I actually had to just turn off my mic, and just because I got so frustrated with that boss. I mean, this is a kid's game, and I was just so adamant. I was getting full on like rage when I finished it, and because when I got so stuck, I literally looked at a YouTube video and I realized I was 5 seconds away from finishing it every time. I was literally the last hit, and that was one frustrating evening.
Yeah, well, I mean, Castle of Illusions is pretty much a straight up remake of the old Genesis game, right? Just new graphics and pretty and stuff. I mean, when we talk about kids games, and kind of dating ourselves here on this one, is, we grew up with like the Nintendo games, Atari 2600 games, and all that stuff. Those games were not designed to be beaten by anybody.
No, this is it. Like nowadays, you just it was funny because I was watching an episode of Games Scoop by IGN last year, and it was talking about how modern games are so much easier, and how when they're building games, they have to make us feel like we're getting somewhere and we're telling a story. Games when we grew up, you didn't finish a game. I never saw, Super Mario Brothers was probably one of the only games I ever completed when I was a kid. You never finished a game. I never saw the end of Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't think I ever completed it. Even though I put in thousands of hours into it, you never completed it. The only other thing, I did play some Marvel vs. Capcom 3. As I picked it up, recorded a couple. I couldn't believe the story mode was about 25 minutes. It came up with the end credits and going, oh, hey, I've just finished a game.
Victory.
I finished. I actually completed 3 games this week, so that's how I have really been, hitting it hard. I kind of quite. Yeah, it's a good week. I think on that note, anything else you want to add, James, before we finish off?
No, that's pretty much it for the week. There's been some news, but not an incredible amount.
No, just lots of little tip of bits. So where can they find you on the interwebs?
I am on Twitter at IHI_James and vagabondpeak.com.
Okay. You can find me over at DisKingdom.com, also at DisKingdom. You can also find me personally on at Rob Palmer UK. And thank you to all of our Patreon as well for all of your support. You can find more details there at patreon.com/DisKingdom. And thank you very much for watching. You hopefully will have noticed a little bit of a different setup in terms of recording. We're having some technical difficulty with Google Hangouts. We're also having, they're changing all their settings this month, and we want to try and give a better version. So hopefully this will work a little bit better, and we'll find out in a minute when I press that record end of the button. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to check us out at DisKingdom.com.